I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul.
Fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab. But at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah.
The guy who finally put an end to this Jake Paul thing, right? If he goes out there and puts Jake Paul in the dirt, he's going to be heralded. He's going to be a hero.
Eddie Hearn recently shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's decision to pursue a fight with Anthony Joshua, and his reaction was far from optimistic. The Matchroom promoter didn't hold back, calling it the biggest mistake of Paul's career. Hearn argued that this isn't just another money grab or Netflix spectacle, but a potentially career-ending choice that could bring Paul's boxing journey to a halt. He emphasized that Joshua's power, experience, and sheer physicality would leave Paul utterly overwhelmed, warning that the matchup crosses a dangerous line between entertainment and survival.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him, and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world,
it's being widely reported that Jake Paul is in the final stages of negotiating a heavyweight bout with Anthony Joshua, potentially set for next month in Miami and to be streamed globally on Netflix. This would represent a significant step up for Paul, who has mostly faced non-traditional, lower-tier opponents, while Joshua is a former two-time unified heavyweight champion who last fought in September 2024. Eddie Hearn confirmed that his team is actively exploring the idea, noting that although the fight was once considered a long-term possibility, the cancellation of Paul's match with Gervonta Tank Davis could accelerate plans and bring the showdown forward. Hearn emphasized that negotiations remain exploratory and no official agreement has been reached, but he acknowledged that the opportunity for a high-profile clash may now arise sooner than expected. He also made it clear that Joshua's team remains focused on reclaiming a world heavyweight title or arranging a showdown with Tyson Fury, with the Paul fight being secondary to a more meaningful comeback.
Conversations with myself and Nikisa, I think Jake and AJ have spoke as well. You know, from our point of view, if we're going to have a run-out fight, why not run out against Jake Paul, you know, for a lot of money? So there's ongoing conversations there. I can't tell you it's close. I can't tell you we've seen a contract. But if he genuinely wants to fight Anthony Joshua, I don't see why we wouldn't have a chance to do that fight. But, you know, our focus is on really a charge for the World Heavyweight Championship and a charge at Tyson Fury. We can't control that either. So, like I said, that's why I said to you, absolutely.
Hearn has expanded on his concerns about a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, warning that the matchup would be far more than a spectacle. He argues that the pairing is dangerously mismatched, highlighting the enormous gap in size, experience, and power between the two fighters. Hearn emphasized that the danger isn't theoretical but very real, suggesting the fight could seriously damage Paul's career, if not end it outright. In his view, the risk to Paul's health and long-term standing in boxing is so significant that the bout would require careful consideration, regardless of its commercial appeal.
Well, AJ, ever so quickly, I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, like, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying.
Mike Coer of The Ring recently raised serious concerns about the potential Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight, suggesting Paul is pursuing it largely for the substantial payday rather than any real sporting merit. According to Kopinger, the deal is in advanced discussions but still depends on major broadcast and sanctioning hurdles being resolved. He emphasized that Joshua represents a massive jump in size, power, and experience for Paul, creating what he views as a dangerous mismatch with genuine safety implications. While the commercial appeal could push the bout forward, Kopinger's reporting underscores the significant risks to Paul's boxing credibility and personal well-being. It also remains unclear whether the proposed matchup would be sanctioned as a professional fight or an exhibition, as no official terms have been released and key questions about rules.
Story on Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua was talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it either.
No, I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab, but at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed, because it's a really dangerous fight.
Do we know if it's an exhibition or a real fight?
We don't know yet, but I don't think they should be allowing Anthony Joshua in a ring with Jake Paul. It's dangerous for him.
It can't be a real fight, because if it's a real fight, Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul's head clean off. So it can't be a real fight.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a man decapitated in Miami in a ring in December.
Listen, and that's what will happen. So
Leon Edwards has commented on the potential Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight, making it clear he favors Joshua in the matchup. As reported by MMA Fighting, Edwards viewed.
You've said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers, to get those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Tuesday decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No, that is.
Stephen A. Smith has long criticized Jake Paul's choice of opponents, often characterizing them as non-boxers or fighters past their prime, prompting Paul to defend his record by noting that he attempted to fight Tommy Fury, who he claims declined the bout. This exchange highlights a pivotal moment in Paul's boxing trajectory. Although he has earned wins over former MMA fighters and veteran boxers, he is yet to consistently defeat rising, active boxing talents. His February 2023 loss to Fury stands out as one of the few times he faced a current boxer in his prime.
AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fight anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if he want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's a perfect win. You get a lot of money doing it.
Will Jake Paul become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you get somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, they caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has the mentality further than his, but past the prime, it kind of evens the stakes.
Smith has openly criticized Jake Paul for choosing to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson, arguing that if Paul is serious about the sport, he should face opponents closer to his own age and skill level rather than calling out seasoned veterans like Anthony Joshua, who hold far greater experience. Smith's critique centers on the idea that for Paul to earn genuine legitimacy in the boxing world, he must take on active fighters.
This fight's in the works, Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. As a Brit, how do you evaluate?
Just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if Asia doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to Anthony Joshua, obviously, for the KO. So yeah, when is it, you know?
It's going to be next month they're working towards.
Oh yeah, sick. Yeah, I'm going AJ for the win.
Cheers.
Tyson Fury, speaking bluntly ahead of the Usyk-Du Bois rematch at Wembley Stadium, strongly backed Jake Paul's chances in a potential heavyweight clash with Anthony Joshua. In an interview with Ring magazine, Fury said he believes Paul could knock out AJ, praising the YouTuber-turned-boxer's heavier, more muscular build and claiming it suits the heavyweight division. He also applauded Paul's fearless attitude in taking on challenges across weight classes and went so far as to say he'd bet £1 million on Paul winning the fight by knockout.
Are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Although many critics argue that a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua could jeopardize Joshua's legacy, others contend that Paul has established himself as a reliable generator of high-profile, attention-grabbing spectacles. His bouts consistently draw massive audiences and widespread media coverage, attracting new fans who might not otherwise follow boxing. While skeptics focus on the apparent mismatch and the risk of reputational damage for a former world champion like Joshua, supporters point to the commercial and promotional upside, noting that Paul's talent for creating buzz.
The moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane. It's hard to me to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25.
Jake Paul is confident that a fight with Anthony Joshua would serve as a revitalizing force for boxing, injecting fresh energy into the sport, attracting new fans, and generating significant global attention. He likens himself to a breath of fresh air, arguing that his mainstream appeal can draw younger audiences who might not typically follow traditional boxing. Paul insists that the sport needs rejuvenation and believes his crossover presence can help bridge the gap between mainstream entertainment and boxing's traditional fanbase. However, the boxing community and many fans have voiced strong opinions about his challenge to Joshua, with many viewing his ambition to face such a seasoned heavyweight as unrealistic and overly ambitious.
Using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky. Getting there. That's protected. And he just done a great job over the aging Chavez Jr., who was a middleweight, but still.
Sure.
Yeah. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Who did he call out? Tank Williams and Joshua. That's just crazy. That's what he called Richter scale.